setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
Another wonderful day. We're back to the WBT. Today we're going to talk about political nonsense. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
So why are we talking about political nonsense? Because we are bombarded with political nonsense every single day. We have a Washington, D.C., where Congress is located at and where all the job requirements are. For members of Congress to go there, raise their right hand and say, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And then we have all the various states and counties and local municipalities who do the exact same thing, raising their hand in support in defense of the Constitution. But then, when they get into power, politics, nonsense politics comes into play, and they put everything to the side, and they totally forget about the Constitution. We have this happening right now in Washington, D.C., where we have Nadler and members of the democratically led Congress trying to impeach the president. They know they can't impeach him. They know that. So they are spreading the gospel of hate about the president, trying to get him out of office some way by putting so much negativity on him every single day. So we had the Russian thing come up, and that was a flat line for them. Now we have impeachment. That's going to be a flat line. And we have all of this nonsense because of everyone is wanting their political power. It's not about serving the people anymore. It has come to political power. And the more political power they have, the more influence that they have over our lives, our personal lives, and our businesses. Now, You wonder why, since I do a business podcast, why I would do politics at the same time. It's very clear to me that how Washington operates affects you and me if we own a business. Through taxation, through compliance issues with various government agencies. We have all of this that we need to deal with. And when we have got members of Congress so focused on hate and disruption of the government that they are no longer defending the Constitution of the United States. You know, every single one of us, when we go for a job, what do we get? We get what is called a job description. And we sign off on that job description. Well, Congress has a job description too. To defend and support the Constitution, not make up political rules that override the constitutional laws that govern this land. But that's what they push, and that's what they try to do every single day. So we're in trouble. Do you realize that we have so much that needs to get done in this country, but Congress refuses to do any of it? Instead, they sit there and they fight, going back and forth and pointing fingers and calling each other racist and all this other nonsense that does nothing to help our roads, our children, our schools, our states, and the laws that need to be upheld. Instead, what they do, they ignore the laws and create a political stress on the United States and upon you and me. And I'm going to tell you very honestly, I am very tired of it. I'm so freaking tired of it because nothing gets done. How many of you go down the street and you're getting flat tires because you keep hitting potholes because the federal and state governments and the county governments do nothing to maintain the roads? Or if you drive under a underpass of a freeway, if you look up, how sturdy do you think that thing looks? How safe does it look? Because the federal government and the state governments are doing nothing to make sure that we are safe. Instead, what they want to do is point fingers and yell racism and impeach the president. So we have a lot of nonsense. If you look at the state of California, which I just moved out of, born in California, raised in California, love California. But they've gone out of control that they forced me to become a refugee of that state. So I had to move to a state that's more friendly. Can you imagine? I started my business there in 1984. And now I have to move everything because the cost and the complexity of doing business in the state of California has gotten out of control. The taxation has gotten out of control. You've got taxation without representation within that state. So the state legislature passed a bill that said, okay, if you want to run for president, you have got to turn over all of your tax returns. They passed a law that was in clear violation of the Constitution. Because the Constitution says no place in it that you have to present your tax returns. It says nothing in there about it. It says that you have to be 35. It says that you have to be a natural born citizen of the United States, that you were born here, your blood is here, and that you have to be in the United States for a certain period of time. I can't remember what that is. But there's three items on running for president. Nowhere in there does it state that you have to present your tax returns. Now, I'm going to tell you something as a tax guy. If you wanted to look at Donald Trump's tax returns, you're not going to learn anything from it. He has corporations upon corporations that never get reported on his personal tax return. And that's what you're looking at, is the personal tax return. You don't see what's happening out there with all of his S Corps and LLCs and C Corps and everything else that's out there. You don't see that. And in fact, you probably wouldn't even understand it. You would have to spend months taking all of his tax returns that he's associated with and look at it. Line by line by line. Now, these tax returns are really thick. But it has nothing to do with him operating a country. Has nothing to do with him protecting and defending the Constitution of the United States. His tax returns has nothing to do with that. He is a U.S. citizen just like everybody else who files his individual tax returns, gets audited, gets relieved from the audit, continues on to the next year, and operates his life and his business. Now, a lot of his businesses have their own lives. If you're a C Corp, you have your own life outside of your personal life. So you're not going to learn anything, but it becomes a political point of politicians to say, we need to see his tax return. No, you don't, because legally you have no right to see it. I, as an American citizen, have no right to see your tax return. You have no right to see my tax return. This is confidential information that we share and we provide the United States government to show what our income and expenses are and what the taxes were taken out. That's between you and me and the government. I don't even want to see your tax return. I don't care about your tax return unless you're my tax client. But as a U.S. citizen, I have no desire to see how much you earn or how much you make. I have more important things to do. And so does the United States Congress and the state of California. They need to start working on their state, working on the homeless issues and the poverty issues that are within this democratic state of California, far leftist state. Now, you can believe any way you want. You can be a Democrat, you can be a Republican, you can be an independent, you can be an OWL party, Outward Logic. There's one out there, if you didn't know that. Which I think pretty much sums up all of the political parties, because they have no logic whatsoever. They're not using common sense and thinking about my job as a congressman, as a governor, as a senator, as a state representative, as a councilman, is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and vote on laws that are in compliance with the Constitution of the United States. And just one bad law can affect you and I in business. And if we don't stand up to these politicians and holding them accountable for the jobs that they're supposed to be doing, then we're not being a very good citizen. I hold all politicians accountable for not doing their work, for not doing their job. I've mentioned this before. In the United States, there's over 700 homeless children. But you never hear about that in the political jibber-jabber that comes out of government. California has the highest amount of homelessness than any other state in the union. But yet, the only way to get it done, it seems like, is to get the president involved, just like how he got involved in Baltimore, and things begin to move and shake and change. Listen, Americans, we have been going too far, too long, with inept politicians who refuse to support, defend the Constitution of the United States. And the more that you and I let them get more and more out of control, the worse it will become. And our rights will be violated, because the rights will be taken away. If we do not use common sense as Americans and say, okay, we have a constitution, we have laws, is what Congress and or the local governments, are they in compliance with the law? Are they trying to make political noise, or are they trying to get stuff done for you and me? And the answer to that is, it's all political. Nothing is being accomplished. And all of the government seats from the federal on down to the state and local levels, not much is being done. Because politics and hate have become the new rule, instead of compromise, working together, shaping bills that will help and protect the American people. Instead, they want to spend millions of dollars on the word impeachment so that they can do harm to somebody else. especially since the Democrats know they can go no further, and they can do all the grandstanding, and they can do all of these speeches and all of these committees and subcommittees. But let me tell you, by doing that, you're showing the American people that you have no care in the world for the American people. So we have nonsense, and nonsense is going on every single day, and we see it, but we do nothing, and we hold no one accountable for it. We need to do better as Americans. And you'd better start telling your politicians out there, listen, you have a job to do, but you're not doing it. So guess what? Next election, for not doing your job, you won't have a job. We are Americans, and we have the power to vote. And we have the power to remove nonsense from the halls of Congress and all the local and state government offices throughout this country. And it's time that you and I start thinking very clearly and using common sense in who we are electing. And if they're offering us a whole bunch of free stuff, walk the other way, because that free stuff is going to cost us dearly. And it's going to cost our children dearly and our grandchildren dearly. Because the higher the debt goes up, the more that our taxes will go up. Think about it. Hold your politician accountable. Do not listen to all of these politicians that are out there making all of these promises of free education and free healthcare and free this and free that. It's nonsense. And they know it's nonsense, because there's no way in hell that they could ever pass that much debt onto the American people. That's what socialism does. It takes away your rights and then governs you as if you need to pay them higher taxes to support the freeness. Let's give everything out free. That's what they want you to believe. But it's not going to happen. There's no way in hell that the American people that understand how the economy works and how their personal finances work would ever allow government to go that far to destroy a nation of productivity and financial strength. If you have any comments or questions, send me a text, 818-252-5682, 818-252-5682. Or send me an email at info at lodge, lodge-co.com. I'll be more than happy to answer you. But I really want you to think about holding these individuals accountable for the nonsense that they are producing every single day and not doing their jobs. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. I will talk with you very soon. Everybody go out and have a very good day.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.